Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we're on a mission that I think is really crucial. It asks you to look past the surface of success and, examine the very foundations of your life.
Right.
Whether you're leading a team, maybe starting a family, or just navigating your career, the core question is always there. Are you building on shifting sand or on bedrock principles?
It's the ultimate architectural challenge, really.
Yeah.
And our sources today, they span millennia to provide something of a blueprint. This isn't just about ethics, it's a strategic choice.
A strategic choice. I like that.
Yeah, and as Rita Dove reminds us, it starts, maybe surprisingly, with vulnerability. She says, if we really want to be full and generous in spirit, we have no choice but to trust at some level.
Hmm.
So this deep dive is all about connecting that ancient need for trust and courage with, modern business strategy and some really intense motivational insights. The goal is to create a framework for authentic living that you can actually use.
Okay, so let's try to unpack this huge stack of material. Our mission is to synthesize this into what? Three core pillars.
That's the plan.
First, we need to understand the courage it takes to define success internally. What is real worth versus just the appearance of it?
Exactly. Then, second, we'll dive into that fundamental difference between transactional and transformational relationships, especially for leaders and culture building.
And finally, we'll hit on the absolute urgency of action. How intentional, sustainable effort, it turns out, beats that frantic striving every single time. All right, let's start with a moment of, ultimate confrontation. It's this clash between flash and permanence, and it comes from the story of Daniel and King Belshazzar.
It's such a dramatic scene.
It is. Picture it. The king is hosting this massive, decadent banquet. His whole life is defined by excess, by power, by consumption.
Mhm.
And just to sort of solidify his own ego, he orders the sacred temple vessels, which are stolen property, by the way, to be brought out so his guests can drink wine from them.
He's basically thumbing his nose at any authority greater than his own.
Yes, exactly. It's the ultimate display of hubris, just fueled by wealth and power.
He thought he was untouchable.
Mm.
And then the mysterious handwriting appears on the wall, and it just instantly paralyzes the entire court.
So they call in Daniel, who has always put his integrity first. And Daniel, he confronts the king directly. He doesn't just interpret the writing.
No, he details the king's moral failure. He doesn't hold back at all.
And he doesn't mince words. The source quotes him saying, Belshazzar had proudly defied the Lord of Heaven, praising gods that neither see nor hear nor know anything at all.
I mean, that's a heavy accusation to level at a king.
A huge one. But the king is so desperate, he offers Daniel this immediate reward, royal robes, a position of massive, instant power.
Right. Daniel could have traded truth for treasure. He could have been set for life, safe and wealthy, overnight.
But he didn't. He chose truth over treasure, dismissed the robes and the title, and just delivered the judgment.
And the kingdom fell that very night. That's the enduring, stark choice, isn't it? Fleeting power versus real integrity.
It's fascinating how clearly this ancient choice mirrors our own modern dilemma. Our sources point out how our world today glamorizes luxury.
It absolutely does.
Success isn't measured by character, usually. It's measured by these external status symbols: houses, cars, clothes, exclusive memberships. And these things become the very fragile basis of our self-esteem.
And that fragility leads directly to what one source calls perpetual striving without a rival. If your worth is defined by what you own, or what others think you own, you're basically signing up for an exhausting treadmill.
That scramble for the next promotion, the line for the newest luxury item, it's all driven by an external validation system.
A system that can never truly be filled.
But I have to ask, for anyone listening who operates in a competitive world, doesn't striving, at least at first, feel like the only way to get ahead? If you choose integrity, you risk missing the big opportunity, right? Daniel risked the king's wrath.
He did.
So why is integrity a better strategy than just grabbing for power?
Because integrity offers freedom. Chasing appearances is mentally, emotionally, and financially exhausting. It drains your focus. True success, real success, isn't about the quantity of things you get. It's about the quality of the life you build.
So the freedom Daniel had was
What?
the freedom to speak truth?
Yes, because he wasn't dependent on the king's gold. This is why that risk quote is so key here. Only those who risk going too far find out how far one can go. Daniel risked everything to tell the truth. Belshazzar lost everything because he refused to hear it.
Wow. And Belshazzar's failure, it wasn't just personal. It infected his whole kingdom, and it collapsed in one night, which takes us from individual integrity right into leadership and culture.
Precisely. If we accept that substance matters more than appearance, then it follows that the quality of the leader matters more than the quantity of resources.
Which brings us to that classic adage.
Right. An army of donkeys led by a lion is better than an army of lions led by a donkey.
That's such a powerful image. But let's push on that a little. In today's high-tech world, can't resources and strategy sometimes overcome poor leadership? I mean, how does a lion-led team of low performers beat a competitor with all the best tech?
Because a lion provides the culture, the purpose, the resilience, the belief. The donkey, even with a team of lions, creates a culture of distrust and fragmentation.
Okay.
Peter Drucker gave us one of the best practical examples of this when he analyzed corporate acquisitions.
Right, which are notorious for failing, even when all the numbers on paper look perfect. Why is that? Why do they fail so often?
Because the leadership almost always prioritizes procedure over people. Drucker saw that even with all the correct legal steps, mergers fail because of these invisible, impenetrable cultural barriers.
It becomes us versus them.
Instantly, the acquired company becomes us defending against them, and all that energy gets poured into internal friction instead of innovation.
So it's that natural human tribalism. How do you break that down? How do you prove this is about building one better company?
Drucker's solution is so practical and relational. He said that within the first few months after the acquisition, a number of people on both sides are promoted to a better job across the lines.
Wait, not just moved. Promoted to a better job across the old lines.
Exactly. That single action proves to everyone that the merger is a personal opportunity, not just a threat. It forces shared history, immediate interdependence. Suddenly they're fighting for a shared success, not defending old turf.
That is just, it's the perfect example of putting people before paperwork, which connects directly to Simon Sinek's definition of a healthy culture.
He does. Sinek says a culture is strong when people work with each other, for each other. A culture is weak when people work against each other, for themselves.
Simple but profound.
And he's really just describing the difference between transformational and transactional relationships. A transactional leader sees people as resources, as instruments for their own success. You know, what did you deliver this quarter? How can I use your network?
Whereas a transformational relationship sees people as intrinsically valuable.
Yes, exactly. A transformational leader asks, what skills have you gained this year? How can I help you reach your next goal, even if that goal takes you outside this company?
That's a huge shift.
It's about lifting others up, not extracting value from them. And our sources call this the integrated practice of love of God and love of neighbor. It's about treating people as infinitely valuable.
And we can't forget, this has to extend inward too. You can't lead others if you're at war with yourself. The idea of be kind to myself has to be part of that practice.
It's essential.
Okay, so all this wisdom about integrity and transformation, it's sterile if we don't act on it. We can plan the perfect life, but without action, we're no better than Belshazzar, feasting while his kingdom crumbled.
And this is where Ryan Holiday offers this bracing, almost confrontational call to ownership.
It's really sharp.
It is, he says. No one's coming to save you.
Yeah.
Get active in your own rescue. Blow your own nose. Get to work. Get moving. Do what you know you have to do.
That's not motivational fluff. That is a direct command to stop intellectualizing and start doing.
Right. The path to getting better isn't talking about it. It's, as he says, being about it.
And the urgency is so palpable. When you're in a tough spot, the easiest thing is to just wait. Wait for the perfect moment or for someone else to step in.
But you have to realize that the longer you wait for the future, the shorter it will be. You're shrinking your own window for impact.
And this action, it requires persistence, especially when you hit roadblocks. It's easy to start. It's hard to keep going when things get tough.
Thomas Jefferson gave us that unforgettable image for those moments. When you reach the end of your rope, tie a knot in it and hang on.
I love that. You make your own situation tenable through sheer will.
You give yourself just enough purchase to regain your footing.
And we shouldn't just survive adversity, we should use it. Winston Churchill, who obviously knew a thing or two about crisis, he said, never let a good crisis go to waste. A crisis gives you the clarity, the moral urgency to make changes you were too comfortable or maybe too afraid to make when things were easy.
That's a fantastic point. But here's where we need to introduce a bit of balance. This call to action is not a license for frantic, anxious, self-destructive striving.
Okay, so how do we find that balance? We need to act, but we can't burn ourselves out every time we move forward.
The counterintuitive key comes from the great track coach Bud Winter. He said, far more can be achieved with a 4/5 effort.
4/5, not full throttle.
Not full throttle. This isn't laziness, it's strategic sustainability. When you constantly push at 100%, you lose precision, you introduce anxiety, and you guarantee burnout.
The 4/5 effort allows for mental space, for recovery.
And for focus on the most meaningful goals, it ensures you can sustain the marathon instead of burning out in the first sprint.
So the goal isn't maximal exertion, it's optimal exertion. And when we apply that disciplined effort, life will inevitably test it, which I think brings us to the mirror of adversity.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Our integrity, our capacity for transformation, our commitment to action, it's all revealed when the pressure is on. As James Lane Allen observed, adversity does not build character, it reveals it.
That distinction is so profound between building and revealing. Daniel's courage wasn't just created in that moment with the king.
No, it was revealed. It was built over years of adhering to his principles.
And Belshazzar's hollowness, his vanity, it wasn't caused by the handwriting on the wall, it was just revealed by the crisis. Adversity is like a moral mirror. It shows us who we really are.
And this revelation is universal. Think about a financial crisis in a company. That adversity instantly reveals whether the leaders see people as resources to be squeezed or as human beings with dignity to protect.
It reveals if their relationships are truly transformational or just transactional when the margins get tight.
Absolutely. Or think about a personal crisis, like an illness or a deep loss. That reveals if your self-esteem was based on external things that can be stripped away or on an internal bedrock of principle that can't be touched.
And the ultimate revealer, of course, is mortality. Our sources remind us that death allows us to appreciate life and lets us see the beauty of life. It's the ultimate filter. It strips away every bit of pretense that Belshazzar cherished.
It clarifies instantly what truly matters.
And when you have that foundational strength, it can persist even in the face of absolute catastrophe. Anne Frank, writing from the deepest crisis imaginable,
Yes.
she gives us this perfect illustration of character built on substance. She says, think of all the beauty in yourself and in everything around you and be happy.
That perspective doesn't come from external validation. It can't. It emerges from and reveals an internal strength built on enduring values.
Which brings us back to the practical outcome of living this way. The uncommon key in our source material sums it up perfectly. It says the foundational principle is that the divine deserves to be honored.
And you honor that not just in abstract thought, but concretely. With your words, how you treat other people, how you spend your time and money. These are the pillars where your internal architecture becomes visible to the world. Hashtag out intro.
We've covered some massive ideas here. Authentic living, according to this deep dive, it requires trust to even begin, the courage to stand against the current transformational love in your relationships.
And persistent disciplined action in your own self-rescue. The architecture of this life requires the audacity to pursue truth and the humility of that sustained 4/5 effort.
The reassurance for you, the listener, is that when you build this way, you shift your focus. You move from frantic striving to a kind of competent alignment.
Our sources remind us that what belongs to you shall come to you. It suggests that when you align with enduring values, you attract meaningful outcomes.
It's not necessarily that ephemeral wealth that vanished in a single night like Belshazzar's kingdom.
No, it's the kind of success that builds strong cultures and communities, the kind that survives the test of adversity.
We invest our time and energy every single day in honoring something. The king chose to honor his ego and his golden vessels, and it cost him everything. Daniel chose to honor truth, and his name endures.
The architecture of authentic living is a choice, and it's a choice you face right now. Daniel faced a king who built on vanity, and we face a culture that ceaselessly glamorizes luxury and self-interest. The simple question for you to consider today, based on everything we've discussed, is this. Will you build on appearance or substance, on extraction or transformation, on self-protection or a courageous love? That answer determines the future of your kingdom.